So, to start off, I'm 16, haven't had a job yet. I really want to work. I need to get out of the house. I got an interview at a Popeyes in my city. I get there around 5 minutes before my interview. I have really bad social anxiety and struggle to speak in certain situations. By the time it was my turn to be interviewed, my nails had been gnawed off. I was very shaky, I could hear it in my voice. I had been listening to what the previous girl had said. I like examples of what to say and do, and so I thought I was ready. No masks were worn, mid-COVID, and this man did not put on his mask. Red flag number 1. He was also looking towards places, whereas I was trying to maintain eye contact. I had one of the mom cardigans on, so I crossed it over my chest. When I did this, his attention finally fell back on my face, where it should be. Especially since I am a minor, and he did know that. He bit his lip a lot and would sigh weirdly. It was like a moan. Obviously uncomfortable, I tried to take his attention from me onto some random questions I started to ask about the restaurant and shit. He answered very dismissively. In the end, I got the job. I was told an email was going to be sent to me within the next day or two with my login info so I can get started on training. That's an important detail. I give it 2 days and I've received nothing. I call and they tell me to call back the next day at 3 because he's out of town. I go to high school full-time and I don't get out until almost 4. By the time I called, he had gone. I called multiple more times to no avail. I called that Saturday and he finally answers. He starts telling me how I was supposed to stay after the meeting and get my login info from the assistant manager. That's when I had enough. I'm already very short-tempered, and I had given this man every ounce that I had. Listen, man, I applied there, and you said I was hired. You also said I would receive an email with my info. I was not given that, or any other way to contact you urgently. Not to mention how unprofessional it is to lie to a now employee. You are an unprofessional man and a creep. I suggest to start focusing more on him. Excuse me, ma'am, but No, you listen to me. Focus on hiring people and not the chests of obviously underage applicants. I told him to take my file out of their system and to fuck off. I hung up before he could say another word. Multiple emails were sent afterward, belittling me and some extremely unprofessional behavior. I blocked the sender's email and still continued to receive more. Multiple calls were made to my own mother by this man. We reported him and he has since been fired. Note to all hiring managers. When you make a mistake, own up to it. Don't lie to the new employees. We aren't stupid.
I used to work as a paramedic in a county 1 hour and 2 counties away. I saw a post here titled Unmarked Van, and it triggered this memory. I would have to start driving around 5:30 a.m. in order to commute the hour away and be on time for work. This day, I was one of the only cars on the road, which was normal. I pulled up to a traffic circle and noticed a van sitting at the circle waiting. But there was zero traffic. I found this odd, but pulled up next to him and continued through the circle. He then began to follow me to the interstate, which I didn't think anything of. I was driving for about an hour and remember seeing someone near me as I went in and out of packs of cars, still not really thinking much in my early morning brain. I pulled off the interstate and saw the van behind me. Now I was like, what's the chances of this guy following me 1 hour to here as well? I became alert. I decided to pull into a gas station to see if he or she was following me, and of course, it pulled in behind me. I noticed it parked facing the storefront with its lights off just outside of the lights of the parking lot. At this point, I'm very concerned. It was a Sunday. I remember because Chick-fil-A was closed, lol. I got back in my truck and it began to follow me again. I shot one parking lot over to the Chick-fil-A and began speeding around the building in an attempt to get behind the van to get a tag. I was trying the entire time to use my cell phone to call the police, and I'm not sure if it was adrenaline or a true glitch, but the phone wouldn't work. This happened a few times with this old phone years ago where I'd need to pull the battery to reset it. After several circles around this restaurant, just as I got behind the van, it took off heading back towards the interstate. It was one of the creepiest encounters I've ever had. Years later, I still wonder what his intentions were.
This happened to me when I was about 17, female. I worked at a convenience store in my hometown. Back then, we did solo overnight shifts. It's not as common in the big chains anymore, for safety reasons. I was working alone when a young man came in the store. He was about 19, 20. I went to the counter to wait on him, and I realized that he had his pants unzipped and he was exposed. I was internally shocked, but thought it was probably a prank and he was trying to get a reaction out of me. I decided I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction, so I waited on him like a regular customer. It was the weirdest interaction. He walked around the store, exposed, looking at items, walked up to the counter to buy something, paid for it. I gave him his change, and he left, all the while letting his twig and berries get some air. I thought, well, he was probably disappointed at how that went, and went back to my work. The next day I found the cops had arrested him because he had come back later and was hanging out by the dumpster at the same convenience store, exposing himself to customers as they went into the store telling them to, "Come here." The cops came and arrested him. Creeped me out a bit because honestly, at the time, I thought he was just some kid with friends outside, just trying to get some sort of reaction out of me, when really, he was a full-on creepy creeper. I'm kind of glad I didn't react. Probably confused him. I ended up quitting overnight solo shifts because my mom had a nightmare that I got stabbed in the back cooler while working alone. A few weeks after the dream, the guy who replaced me was held up at knife point. Well, there you go. That's my story.
I wrote this in another thread, but it wasn't correct, so I'll post it here. I know California gives off the whole sunset and palm trees vibe, but I've never experienced the type of shit I have since moving here 3 years ago. While it's beautiful and I hope to get a house and be here for life, I've never been forced to take my rose-colored glasses off so quickly. This is the second run-in I've had with a creepy man that had me realizing that in an instant everything could change forever. This actually happened to me a few years ago and I'm still shaken up about it. Hopefully by sharing it, it will help me feel more at ease. I've recently started taking aerial silks classes and I absolutely love it. This was my first time going on a Saturday. The area is a bit rural, especially with so many of the local businesses closed due to quarantine, but it didn't strike me as dangerous by any means. Anyway, as I'm leaving my second class ever at this location, I notice a guy walking past. He's wearing all black, but nothing about him just screams danger. I'm talking to my husband on the phone, trying to decide if I want to go jog on the beach or if I want to just join him at home, since he's off early for the first Saturday in months. We wrap up the conversation and I decide to just go to the grocery store and then go home since my muscles are beginning to ache as well. Thankfully, I'm an avid reader of Let's Not Meet, and one of the main habits I've picked up from others' experiences is to lock your car door as soon as you get in. I forgot to mention that I did that as soon as I saw the guy in black walk by, but I waited for him to pass so he didn't get offended. Going forward, I don't give a damn. I will lock my door immediately no matter who's nearby. So I'm looking up recipes on my phone, trying to compare what I have at home versus what I need to pick up. My endorphins are going after an awesome workout. It's a sunny day, my man's home early, I just feel good and in the moment. Until suddenly, I get this feeling to look up. As I look up at my driver's side mirror, I see a black shirt and jacket move from laying flat against my car to standing up straight. I automatically know who that is, and I start my car, yelling, let me get the fuck on because I will run this motherfucker over if I have to. As I'm saying this, he's just standing at my window, slowly lifting his finger. It seemed like he was trying to say something along the lines of, "Can I just talk to you for a minute?" But in reality, it looked like he was trying to phone home like E.T. As I was pulling out, I immediately called my husband, and as I'm trying to process what happened, I get this strong feeling in my gut that he was pulling on my car handle. But I had it locked, and that's what gathered my attention and made me look up. I consider myself to be a nice person and will try to give the benefit of the doubt to most people. But there's no denying malicious intent. From walking past the first time, to seeing I'm still there, to being pressed against my car, to the weird-ass what I took as him being nervous he got caught, finger-pointing, to the fact that as I was pulling off, he didn't look back at me or anything. He looked over into the building my class was in, then walked back behind the building as though it never happened. I know this is not as big as other experiences on this thread, but it still has me shaken up hours later, and I hate it because I genuinely enjoy this class, but I don't want to catch old boy again, especially since every other class is at night. Only Saturdays is at midday. I'm trying not to think about what creepy people like him have in mind or what their next steps are, but I can't help but wonder, and it terrifies me every time, that one day if I get caught slipping, that could be the end of my story. I will say once I got home, I gave my husband the biggest and longest hug and prayed to God, thanking him for allowing me to just take this experience as a lesson learned, as well as expressing gratitude for being able to return home tonight. So creepy E.T. pointing ass motherfucker, let's not meet, because if I choose to continue attending my workout classes, I'm going to have my knife and mace ready, so don't make the necessary occur bit. Please always lock your door as soon as you get in your car, and don't just linger around in your car, especially if you're in an unknown area. I've gotten a bit better about doing this, but let my guard down since it was midday and the door to my aerial silks class was literally 300 feet away. Edit. My apologies if any of my lingo is a bit offensive. As stated in a comment below, I made this 2 hours after the incident, while I was 2 shots in. I did edit the word hood, since that could be seen as a clear stereotype. I'm black, by the way. But I will leave everything as is, so I don't alter the experience, since I hope at the very least it could be a cautionary tale for others. I did not call because I was so shaken up and just wanted to get home safely into my husband's arms. And they were closed yesterday, but I will call when they open in the next hour and notify them. I read stories like this all the time and sometimes wonder, why wouldn't you call so-and-so? But now I understand how in the moment simple things like that can slip your mind, as well as you kind of block certain things out because it's a bit of a traumatic situation. Thank you for your responses. Having others respond to my experience lets me know that this was indeed a scary situation, and I made the right choice by reacting quickly. Final update, I did call the business and left a voicemail providing a brief description, but told them they are welcome to call me for any more details, or next steps they would like for me to take. It's a small place, so I'm pretty sure they will give me a call so we can discuss further. Thanks you guys for giving me that push.
During the beginning of my freshman year, one of my teachers was having some health problems, so we had subs most days. This happened a few months after she came back. One day, my dad was in the grocery store, and I was waiting outside for him. I was sitting on a bench when one of the subs we had came up to me. There was a gym across the street, and he looked like he had just come from it, as he was wearing workout clothes and was holding a large duffel bag. He knew my name and started talking to me about school, me being young and naive. I thought he was just being friendly and didn't realize anything was off. After a while, he sat down on the bench and got really close to me. We had been talking about a book that I was reading for school, and then he started telling me that he had a signed copy of it in his car, and that he would really like to show it to me. I know I'm stupid, but at this point, I still didn't really think anything was off. He kept on mentioning his car and that he needed to drop his bag off, but he'd really like to continue the conversation and I could walk with him. About 20 minutes into the conversation, I know, should have been a red flag. What teacher talks to a student in public for that long? My dad finally came out and freaked out when he saw a random middle-aged man talking to his teenage daughter. When the sub saw my dad, he introduced himself as my teacher, but then left really hurriedly. Somehow at that point, I still didn't feel that off, until a week later when I was reading the book we had been talking about, and something clicked. I started freaking out. He was huge, like well over 6 feet tall, and could have easily overpowered me if he got me into his car. Plus, we were mostly by ourselves in the car park. Also, he could have had anything in that duffel bag. I think the final thing that confirmed his intentions was when a few weeks later, I stayed after school to talk to a teacher and was taking a shortcut through one of the campus buildings. I was the only one in the hallway and looked into one of the classrooms and saw him. We made eye contact and he yelled my name. I started running down the hallway as fast as I could, and he started screaming at me to wait and he needed to talk to me. I didn't stop running until I was a few blocks away from the school. After that, he kind of disappeared. I never really saw him again. I really wanted to report him, but I actually had no idea what his name was. None of my friends did. I feel especially bad about that, because what if he's done it to others since then?
First time poster to the sub. This happened several years ago. Background and cast. Me is me. My boyfriend is G. My beefy male friends is M and L. The kids is kids, and the creepy van is CV. It was a summer evening, and me, G, M, and L were all hanging out at G's mom's place. He lived on a dead-end street, nearly at the end, with a forest with some satellite maintenance buildings. The street had a bunch of young kids, probably ranging from 4 to 14, probably about a dozen kids in total. They would conglomerate at the end of the street and play all day long. They are very cute kids. On to the story. I don't know what led up to it, but I remember looking out of the front bay window as I pet G's cats. I often admired the kids playing outside. It always filled me with happiness and nostalgia of my childhood. I saw them playing at the end of the street. As I'm watching these little rascals play outside, I see CV, creepy van, pull up in front of G's house. I didn't really think anything of it. I mean, it's just a van driving. CV parked in front of G's house, facing away from the kids and end of the street. I keep watching, just to be sure. I didn't remember seeing this van before. I saw 2 people in the front, a man and a woman. They sat there for what felt like 10 minutes before turning around and facing the kids. This started to worry me. Going ever so slowly, VC crept up to the unsuspecting kids. At this point, I was scared something was not right. I hollered downstairs to the boys and had them come up. The 4 of us went outside. Now G, M, and L are all big men, strong, tall, in their 20s. Like, these aren't the kind of guys you want to mess with. So we were standing at the end of the drive, hoping at this point to make CV aware there were grown men here and we won't let any shenanigans of theirs occur. But what happened next made me physically sick. CV, still creeping up on the kids, has finally garnered their attention. The kids just stop and stare like deer in headlights. They're not far away at all. I can hear them talking. The kids don't know this van either. CV keeps going, pushing them to the edge of the road. "We don't want your candy," the kids scream. Holy shit, these people are trying to kidnap these kids. My group starts walking towards CV, yelling, "Hey, hey." But before we could reach them, CV turns around in a driveway and pulls back out. They drive past my group slowly. They stare into our eyes, and we stared right back. CV gunned it as soon as they passed us. The van had no license plate. We ran up to the kids and asked them if the people in the van said anything. Most kids said nothing, but a few spoke up about the mysterious promise of candy, which fortunately they had all been warned against in school. I told them they were very smart not to trust those people, and that they should all go home, tell their parents immediately, and stay in for the night. Ever since then, I watched those kids like a hawk whenever I'm at G's house. Those kids are a bit older now too. I just hope nothing like this ever happens to them again. Hands down the freakiest potential kidnapping I've witnessed personally. Thanks for reading. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another video. If you enjoyed the stories, it would be very helpful for us if you hit the thumbs up button to help this video rank higher in the algorithm. If you have any feedback or questions, please feel free to leave a comment. If you want to share a story, my email is in the description. We upload every Sunday, so be sure to subscribe with the bell icon. See you next time.